When we talk about reaching the heights of American and Canadian and Major League Soccer, it starts here. The end product is the World Cup. The end product is MLS Cups, but it begins here. Man, oh man, does this kid live up to the hype. A second cross floated, it's Serrano! Seattle Sounders with the goal! These 15-year-olds, these 16 and 17-year-olds, to go through tournaments like this, the adversity they face, because every single one of these players has the ability to play for your first team. Remember this when your first team lifts MLS Cups in the future.
You see what the peak of this tournament can be, and we are reaching that stage. The final game of group stage, Group A action at the U17 level as the Philadelphia Union face off against Flamengo out of Brazil. Let's take a look at our starting lineups, and for Flamengo, the one forced change at the back. Igor, the starting right center back, shown a red card in the last game, so he does not return. 4 changes to this starting lineup for this Flamengo side, but the number 10, Mateus, will be the star that stirs the drink for them in this one. And on the flip side for the Philadelphia Union, 2 changes to the starting lineup here, but still a lot of big names in the attack. None bigger than number 7, Bajang Darboe, the U.S. Youth International, playing out wide. As we are ready for our first kick here, the Philadelphia Union, they are wearing their classic blues with the gold going left to right on your monitors. Flamengo in their white kits, white shorts, going right to left on your screens as we are kicked off the final game of Group A play. David Goss and Michael Lahoud with you for this one. Michael, let's start with that third group stage game. For these two teams, still need to get into the knockouts. How, as a player, do you handle one of these stressful moments?
Well, it depends on which team you're on. These are 2 teams. It's a tale of 2 different ends of the table for them. For a Philadelphia Union team, so much of what they've done has come to fruition, and it's a reason why they're at the top of the group. Goals coming in, managing games well, and it's really how you start the game for these 2 teams. Flamengo, you have to get numbers in the box and be aggressive and get that first chance to get that confidence flowing back in your team again.
So as Michael said, Flamengo currently sitting in 3rd place, yet to score a goal in this competition. One of the favorites coming in. They are sitting on 2 points after 2 draws. The Philadelphia Union sitting on 5 points after a win and a draw. As this one breaks into the box, Junior slides it wide. An opportunity to cross, knocked down, and then the big clearance from Daniel Kruger. In this tournament, after a tie, it goes to penalty kicks, and you can get awarded an additional point for winning that. Philadelphia won that penalty kick shootout in their 2nd game against LAFC, so they sit in 1st place on 5 points. But Michael, just to make things even more complicated, these players walked out here 35 minutes ago ready to play, about to start the game, and we see lightning and a 30-minute weather delay as this cross comes in from Flamengo. How do you as a player sort of switch your gears, slow down, and then get ready to play at a high level right off first kick?
This is where the strength coaches make their money. One is when your strength coach is telling you to warm up, you pay attention, you get your feet moving, get blood back in your legs. But I think in games like this, especially 3 days in, you're going for top of the group, challenges, defensive plays, getting runs in behind. If you're an attacker, getting a shot on target, getting things to boost your confidence and get that game feel back in your body.
David Goss and Michael Lahoud with you here on Twitch and the MLS YouTube channel. We've still got one more game after this today. A number of games all week. It's been a great day of action so far. Manchester United knocking off Minnesota United here on this field. In our previous game, we got the morning started with Celtic out of Scotland getting a win over FC Cincinnati. The Philadelphia Union now look to battle Francis Westfield. Scoops that one out. Westfield, one of the players that was highlighted to you coming into this game.
And he's a player that Philadelphia Union sporting director Ernst really appreciates and loves. He reminds him of a Chris Albright, Philadelphia Union great, an MLS great, and U.S. national team member in the 06 World Cup from the same area, Northeast Philly. And one thing I remember about the Northeast, you don't mess with the Northeast. They bring the lumber, they bring the fighting spirit.
Corner kick coming here. Philadelphia will need it as Flamengo prepares their first set piece opportunity. Played into the box headed along by Kruger. And now a chance to break. Luciano Sanchez trying to lead the attack as the number 10 in this game for Philly. Flamengo going to work early here. Sanchez able to win that one, and he's not able to chase it down. So 30-minute halves for a 60-minute game here. We've got a question from Twitch here. The Colt Cardboard says, which players should we be focusing on? You mentioned number 2, the right back Francis Westfield for the Philadelphia Union side. Is there anyone else that people should be keeping an eye on?
I think Daniel Kruger, with so many missing pieces, and 2 missing pieces in particular for the typical Philadelphia Union team in Zielinski and Nelson, Kruger and his defensive, being solid defensively has been important for this Union team, creating the base and the foundation for the attack to thrive.
Philadelphia only conceding 1 goal so far in this competition. That has been their strength, as you said. Now an opportunity to get to the end line. The block made in the end by Martelli, excuse me.
I wish they had Martinelli from Arsenal. Definitely changed the game.
I thought we were talking apple juice in my mind, but that's fair. It'll be a deep throw in here. Excuse me, a corner kick coming. So Mateus standing over this one. He's been the premier attacker for this team, but I don't know how much that means for a group that's yet to score a goal as he drives this to the near post, flicked on, and it'll go out.
And this is a Flamengo team that's so technical, individual ability, and really the team hasn't shown up offensively. For sure they haven't shown up. Defensively, they've been beaten by savvier teams, waiting for them to get frustrated, and then when the opportunity comes, teams have struck against them. But in this third game, all you need is a half chance and a goal. To see the ball go in the back of the net, it can do your team wonders for your confidence.
This is the Flamengo side. I mentioned at the top, as there's a slip there, and all of a sudden a gift given back from Souza.
It goes to show you the lack of confidence in this Flamengo attack. When you haven't scored a goal so far coming in this tournament and going to this last game, you don't see your attacking players try to be unselfish inside the box when you haven't scored a goal.
And can Philly hurt them back the other way? It was Barjan Darbo chasing that one down. David Costa puts that one out. Costa getting the start in place of Igor, the captain, the right center back who picked up that red card in the previous game. So while Flamengo have struggled to score, they've only conceded once, and now, excuse me, they haven't conceded yet, and now they lose their defensive core. So what can Philly do here from the set piece? Shout out to all the fans on Twitch watching along with us. Feel free to jump in the comment section, ask us any other questions, any comments that you see, anything you want to talk about. A ton of Flamengo fans in there as well, so obrigado.
Bom dia, bom dia.
Better than what I did. Mine was more nervous.
It's about the summer in Brazil.
Corner kick coming here. That foot played in. It falls in the box, poked away. Somehow stays alive though for Philly. Now Flamengo finally clear. Hernandez charging down the right side. Is able to sneak away from the tackle by Zambrano, and Hernandez still in possession, and it's finally pushed out in the end.
That's good work from Hernandez to show his athleticism and determination to get up the line, but also even better recovery from the Philadelphia Union. 8-9 guys getting behind the ball.
Cross put in from the top of the box. Junior gets on top of that one. He's not able to put it either side of Andrew Rick. Rick, part of that back 5, really that back 7 that have now started all 3 games for Philly, and you mentioned it, that's the base, that's the core for this Union side.
And it really gives your attack freedom to thrive, knowing that you can get forward without really worrying about, should I get back? If I don't get back, will they score a goal? And all great teams, whether at this level or the professional level, you need a group of 6 players, a block of 6. Ooh, tough tackle.
Crunching tackle here at midfield. Our head official, Abelardo Flores Dominguez, and the yellow card will be shown. And it looks like it'll be Logan Oliver, the defensive mid, who picks it up 3 yellow cards over the course of the competition will lead to a suspension.
And Logan Oliver comes in like a freight train, times his tackle, mistimes it, and rightfully given the yellow card.
So these teams fighting for an opportunity to make it to the round of 16, which we will have for you coming up tomorrow. We will have 4 of the 8 matches here on Field 4 on our Twitch and YouTube broadcasts. So the 10 group winners make it automatically as the top 10 teams in seeding in that knockout round, and then the 6 best second place teams across the 10 groups also will make it in. Oliver back in possession now, and he gets it up to Zambrano. Zambrano attacking forward, trying to sneak around Costa. Zambrano's able to get past him, cleared off the line, and now Santos recovers.
Nervy moments for Flamengo, and almost a moment of just ecstatic happiness for the Philadelphia Union. And Zambrano doing well to go 1v1, then doesn't give up on the play. He's rewarded with a golden opportunity.
We talked about those players from the Northeast. Is there anything more Northeast than trying to just cut your way past a center back and a goalkeeper? And Zambrano didn't quit on the play, and he almost had the breakthrough goal for the Union.
There's almost a swim move that you see in American football. He gets by the defender.
Pushing forward now is Ferreira. The left back floats it in. Power on that cross. So lightning off in the distance. Very little rain. Will speed the field up a little bit, but otherwise it's basically sunny and blue skies now. 35 minutes after that rain as we take a look at the replay of that opportunity.
Up, come on, Jamie, up.
Again, Zambrano not able to get all the way to goal.
What I like about what he did there was you test the speed of the back line as a striker. You see whether your defender has pace to match you or whether he has strength. And Zambrano knows now that physically, in terms of strength, he has his center back beat if he wants it.
It's interesting now. How does that set up the rest of the way? Just supposed to step away. Does he call someone else over to maybe match up against Zambrano? It'll be interesting to see how he starts to use that matchup as it goes along here. 30-minute halves for a 16-minute game. Yeah, the GA Cup. Junior now attacking. Cuts it back. Blocked initially by Westfield. Beautiful back heel down the line. Ferreira's cross comes in. And the header at the far post goes just wide from Morales.
It's been end-to-end stuff between these two teams. Flamengo trying to get width and service from their outside backs. Well, this ball gets whipped in. Keep an eye on Morales at the far post. He's static, but reacts. But not quick enough. Philadelphia doing just enough to clear their lines.
So besides the rain, I always have to mention here in Frisco, there will be wind as a factor running left to right on your screen from behind that Philadelphia goal into this man Santos' goal for Flamengo, which means that Flamengo here playing against the wind, having the bulk of play. We've seen 25 to 45 mile per hour gusts, wind advisories at times here this week. So while it is strong, it is not the strongest we've seen here today.
And that's why you see Philadelphia sitting in a low block so far in this first half. Because Flamengo, they need the result. They need the goal. They haven't scored one yet. But for Philly, when you're playing with the wind at your back, if you win the ball off a Flamengo defender or midfielder, you have the wind going with you, and you can get forward even quicker.
Foul goes against Flamengo. A bit of a crunching tackle there.
One of the things I noticed about this Philadelphia Union team was the intensity. They're the only team that's brought a boombox, almost throwing it back to the 90s.
Yeah.
But they brought a boombox, and typically you hear coaches not invite that sort of stuff.
Darbo keeps that one alive across the face of goal.
You hear a lot of coaches not invite that sort of stuff because it could be a distraction, but it actually enhanced the experience for them, and players seem intense and locked in, ready to go for this game.
And this, the first international competition for Philadelphia in this tournament. They were supposed to face off against a club from Nigeria, but travel issues in the end, so Weston FC, the champions of MLS Next, brought into the tournament, and Weston has been impressive. A 1-0 loss to Philly, a hard-fought one in the opening game, and then the draw and the penalty kick win against Flamengo in the second game. So Weston has been on top of things so far, and a great addition to the competition. Teus looks to turn upfield. Darbo on the ball now. Darbo looking for his big moment still, and that shot goes into the arms of the keeper.
He could be the difference maker for the Philadelphia Union. Such a crafty left winger. When he gets the ball, he wants to cut inside on his favored right foot, does so there, evades a few Flamengo defenders. And I like the strength that he has. He's a lanky player. You don't typically think lanky players have the strength, but he does well, has enough strength to evade his defender and push off to create the space for the shot.
Darbo, a U17 international, fairly consistently under Gonzalo Segares' group. Could be one on the verge of making his MLS Next Pro debut for the Philadelphia Union 2 under Marlon LeBlanc, as that one's knocked up in the air. Alex Perez getting it forward to Sanchez, and no call coming on that collision. So Christopher Pack says, is this cup or a friendly cup? What is this competition? Generation Adidas Cup. It is U17 and U15 tournament. So every MLS team playing in qualifying to get to this point over the course of the year. The Liga MX teams who are here also played in qualifying just to earn a spot in this tournament. And then a number of guest teams are invited to compete, such as the Flamengos, the River Plate, AS Roma, Manchester United, clubs from around the world, each team playing 3 group stage games. After the group stage knockouts all the way to a final, as that shot goes just wide. So similar to any tournament you see, you can go to MLSsoccer.com. You can check out all the standings, all the teams, all the schedules. The U15 competition kicked off a day earlier. They move into the round of 16 later tonight. We won't have that streaming, but you can go to MLSsoccer.com to get the updates, to see what the schedule will be. Some really tasty round of 16 matchups there.
As we saw on that shot of the defensive midfielder Oliveira, we've already seen a defensive midfielder score a goal today. Maybe there's something in the water.
They've been watching for two games of others attacking players not scoring. Come on, at some point Michael Lahoud's like, I'll do this.
I remember that feeling when I played in the middle of the park, where your team hasn't scored, and then you start feeling, hey, why not try my own luck from distance? Oliveira gets good contact on it, but doesn't get enough accuracy.
Perez flips it wide, headed straight up into the air from Uwimana. And it goes wide. With Philly playing more of a 4-2-2-2 earlier in the tournament, and here more of a 4-2-3-1.
Actually, they've shifted. They started in a 4-2-3-1 and now shifted to a back 5, where Uwimana started out as a winger and he's now dropped to a right wing back. I think that's down to the 2v1 numerical overload that Flamengos had on this left-hand side.
And this is where Uwimana trying to help Westfield a little bit in that support.
And with that switch, you see Sanchez moving from the number 10 spot in the middle of the field, and now he is one of the right midfielders. It's really a 5-4-1.
Philadelphia, a point probably enough, or a tie probably enough for them to earn first place in this group. So a little bit of a different job for them than Flamengo, who need not just a win, they need goals in this one as well to push themselves up the standings against teams across the other groups. Corner kick coming here for Flamengo. About 2/3 of the way through this first half of 30 minutes.
Hey, right here, Dennis. Marcos. Let's go, win the ball. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Corner kick played in. One at the near post by Martelli.
You can hear the Philadelphia Union coaching staff trying to organize their team, making sure every Flamengo player is marked. We've seen the importance of set pieces throughout this event, throughout this tournament.
This one gets dropped all the way back. And in such short games, it's hard sometimes to get the flow to create chances. And you have, as you said, seen set piece be that difference maker for really the difference a lot of times between teams that play well and teams that are winning and going to the next round.
And especially when this is the last game of the group stages, mentally you're fatigued.
Yeah.
Physically you're starting to feel the fatigue. Although it's 60 minutes, it still all adds up over time. The pressure of the knockout round and really the thought process of the knockout round for this Philadelphia Union team. On the cusp of that, you can lose your focus, and that might cost you on a set-piece play.
David Goss and Michael Lahoud here at the Generation Adidas Cup 2022 edition U17 play. We've got a third member of our crew, Matt Peterson, down on the sideline. A little bit more. Let's go down to Matt.
Hey, thanks, David. Tobias Nubmeyer, he's the head coach for the U17s. Closest comparison I have watching him on the sideline, Jordan Allen from Real Salt Lake, another younger coach, very specific instruction, pacing back and forth, mostly positive, but very specific positional instructions. I think you guys can hear a lot of it from your vantage point as well.
Thanks so much to Matt, and he'll be down with the coaching staffs as well as checking in on all the subs and tactics as we go along. So we've got some questions from some fans. We got Tyfalsol on Twitch who asked, who was the most, were there any big names on the field in the previous game for Manchester United? And he wasn't on the field, but there was one pretty big name in that team. If you've ever heard of Ryan Giggs, his son's a part of that group.
Yeah, Zach Griggs. He was playing right wing. Almost opened the scoring in that game. The goal was called back for offside. Unfortunate for him and Manchester United, but United just having too much firepower off the bench, and that was the difference in the end in the scoreline.
So a big win for Man U to top their group over Minnesota United. As we get ready for this free kick. Darbo's right foot and Martelli's left foot standing over this one. It is the left foot service played in, and it's the opening goal, and it's Marco Zambrano.
That's the type of start you want if you're the Philadelphia Union. We mentioned set pieces and the importance of it, how they could be the difference between two teams. Heading in the last game of the season, just good service and even better running. Zambrano just wants this more. And he's unmarked. The Flamengo back line, they stand watching Zambrano finish off the play, and so difficult to do. He's leaning back a bit and has to steer that ball towards the near post. Well taken goal from him.
And you mentioned the dream start as you take a look at the standings, not live updated. So Philadelphia Union with that lead would move to 8 points in Group A. It would guarantee them first place. This would leave Flamengo on the outside looking in. Well, you could say against the run of play, Philadelphia Union with the biggest moment of this first half.
And in terms of possession, yes, against the run of play. And I know Flamengo had a pretty good look at goal, but Philadelphia, before that, it was Zambrano who almost had a chance at a goal himself. So he really is showing how eager he is and how hungry he is to make an impression. And he's the difference between a tie and the Union being up 1-0.
It's only the second goal in open play for Philadelphia in this competition. Nelson Pierre, who's starting this game on the bench, had the goal in the opening game against Weston. So a huge moment for Zambrano. Coming out of that goal, let's go down to our sideline with Matt Peterson for a little bit more.
Braiding, I think the best celebration we've seen from any coach here at the GA Cup.
Set pieces, set pieces. No coach loves anything more than a set piece that works.
And I think we got to check his vertical on that celebration, almost a la Ronaldo.
Mateus serves this free kick in as Flamengo tries to answer off the crossbar and back out. Almost a like for like as Flamengo looking to get back into it.
In soccer, they say you're most vulnerable to give up a goal within 5 minutes after you scored. And so unfortunate for Flamengo. Quality cross in, but just couldn't get that to nestle in into the top corner. But warning signs from the team from Brazil.
Darbo throws this one in quickly. Space to work here for Sanchez. His drive. And it stings the palms of Santos. They've been treated to a good one so far. Flamengo still looking for their first goal of this competition. One of the favorites coming into play. Philadelphia, they haven't looked intimidated. Michael, they haven't looked scared at all.
They look very composed. And we've seen that from other teams who have played some of these heralded clubs from around the world, is sometimes you get intimidated by the badge and the player because of the badge.
What do you do the first time you're in this setting? What was the first time you played a non-American club? How do you sort of settle yourself and play your game?
I used to love, even from youth soccer going into the pros, I used to love playing against the international teams because, one, those are the teams I grew up watching, including MLS teams.
Opportunity to break into the box. Deflection, and it's taken by Rick.
Because there was a chance to prove myself against some of the top talent in the world. And if you want to develop as a player, you've got to sometimes know how you stack up against the rest of the world. And so getting stuck in on a tackle, dribbling by a player, and really playing with an essence of swagger, you have nothing to lose against these sort of teams.
We've seen the swagger from Philadelphia so far. Zambrano, he's been the most impressive player maybe on the field as Darbo in an offside position. Final 5 minutes of this first half. Just 30-minute halves here. 60-minute games. We will move to 70 minutes as we get into the final stages of the knockout rounds. We've got some other games going on around us that will affect these two teams. So we'll get you updated on those scores in the second half. That one's blasted. We've already seen Minnesota United sitting on 6 points as a second place team. NYCFC sitting on 6 points as a second place team as well. So when you start to look at those 6 best second places, they're starting to fill up. And if you're a Flamengo side, you can't really afford to make that many mistakes. This one's cleared out.
For Flamengo, you haven't scored your goal. You're down a goal after creating some decent opportunities in this first half. It's at some point, if you don't get a goal going into halftime or you don't get a goal on the other side of the second half, doubt starts creeping in your mind and panic starts setting in.
Mateus trying to keep that at bay. He's got defenders on skates right now on the edge of the box. Mateus trying to keep it under control. Surrounded by blue shirts, and he earns a throw-in for his team. Westfield challenging along the end line. Logan Oliver had a chunk taken out of his leg on that clearance. It'll be a Philadelphia free kick.
I wonder if there's a sense of payback from the tackle that Oliver had in the middle of the park. But it's good from him. This is the solidarity we talked about from the Philadelphia Union, that back four and the back five that they shifted to. Really, those two defensive midfielders in the middle of the park, they function as screeners for that back five, so nothing gets down the middle of the park.
So about 3 minutes left here. You talked about that panic for Flamengo. For Philadelphia, if you're part of this coaching staff, you're talking about what do you want to look at halftime, and for Tobias Nubenmeyer, what's the message? What are you seeing right now from your group?
I would applaud them on the intensity
Opportunity here, put into the arms of Rick.
I'd applaud them and encourage them on the intensity they're playing with. Don't change a thing from that. I think the dueling in the midfield has been what's tipped the tide in their favor because the reactions are better. But you can't rest on your laurels, and I would be screaming for next goal. I think next goal in this game, we've seen that in the tournament, next goal mentality wins.
You have to think if Philly goes up by 2, Flamengo's like in a situation where a tie does nothing for them. They're almost in like a 2-leg away goal situation where you're chasing 3 down 2-0, and so it could really be an emotional bellwether for the Philadelphia Union if they can get that goal. Uimana with the throw in. Santos looking to get it back in play quickly. Hernandez has started all 3 games at right back. You saw his ability on that counterattack earlier in this game. Hasn't gotten forward as much as maybe you would have expected, and maybe that Philadelphia 5-man shape has really hurt this Flamengo.
And that's why Philadelphia shifted to a 5-man back line, because the 2 outside backs, Hernandez in particular, were getting forward. They were creating disruption. And when they get forward, at times, Flamengo, because they need the goals, there's 5 or 6 guys in the box.
Mateus now, he's looking for one of those guys in the box. Ball drops to the ground and cleared away by Westfield. And now Darbo going to counter on the dribble. Up the line for Zambrano. Zambrano will let Costa pick that one up.
And you can live with that if you're the Union, because, yes, Darbo does well to skate out of pressure and the misplaced pass, but it allows your back line to step up and the team to regroup. As long as it gets in the other team's end, they have to turn and run towards their goal. That's a win.
Dying moments of this one, a minimum of 1 minute of stoppage time added to this 30-minute first half. Flamengo currently sitting in 3rd place in the group, the final day of the group stage, looking for their first goal of the competition to start to claw their way back in. Zambrano, he's taken down. And the foul goes against Zambrano for a handball for trying to stop the ball when he thought he got fouled. Hernandez, the 1-2, his cross played in. Cleared away expertly by Wetzel.
I like the reaction of the Union defenders and the Union midfielders. Didn't think that was a foul against Zambrano. If anything, I thought it was a foul on Zambrano. But the rest of the team reacted. If they didn't, Flamengo had a 1v1 with one of their center backs.
Westfield and Kruger have been good along that right side for Philadelphia, as has Marcos Zambrano. It was a Luke Martelli free kick in the middle of this first half. Zambrano rose to the occasion, rose to that ball to give his team the breakthrough. It's the final day of group stage play. Philadelphia Union leading the group, but they've got 30 more minutes to keep it together. We'll be back in just a moment with all your second half action coming up here from Toyota Soccer Center and the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup.
What the foreign country have done in 1 century, we did it in 10 years.
The great soccer pioneer Lamar Hunt once said, "I get asked this a lot. Why has soccer not succeeded?" My answer is, soccer has succeeded. It is already the fastest growing youth participation sport in the U.S. It has already succeeded at the youth level, no question. Lamar Hunt envisioned early on that youth development would play a vital part in the growth of soccer in the United States. But to measure how far we've come as a soccer nation starts here in Frisco, Texas. The Generation Adidas Cup brings Major League Soccer academies face-to-face against international powerhouses from all over the world. Since the introduction of this tournament, and in the last few years alone, the youth game has gone through a metamorphosis. But what is being done at the youth level to advance the game?
The game, the players, and our coaches.
Through a partnership with the French Football Federation, Major League Soccer began prioritizing the education of coaches in every level, and alongside on-field competition and the development of a player itself, encompassed the three pillars of focus towards advancing the youth game.
We have put in a lot of time and effort on coaching development. So I think that the results of that are starting to happen. The coaches who have gone through the French EFCL, the French Federation course, we're starting to see how that has changed in the way their teams are approaching the game and the way that they're playing. The fact that our clubs now are going younger and younger, bringing in kids at the ages of, in some cases, 11 and 12 years old, it's giving them a little bit of longevity and preparation in the way that they are building a young professional. So they're taking it from a young age, developing their technical skills, developing the tactical awareness of the game, improving their physical conditioning and their mental approach to the game. So I think we're starting to see the results. Every year for the last 3 years, we've seen an improvement of the quality of play, and I think we're seeing it this year, that our clubs are slowly but surely catching up to the international clubs.
We cannot develop better kids if we don't have better teachers. So we have done a lot of work on this subject. The last aspect is the competition aspect. We all know if we want to improve our kids, we need to develop them with more meaningful competition. And the GA Cup is a perfect example of this effort. With in one side, we try to benchmark our players and our coaches against the best team of the world, and Real Madrid is here to highlight that. But it's also, in the other side, the opportunity to create a coaching symposium to try to link both competition and coaching education, and to make sure we have different layers in this process to upgrade and to improve everyone.
We can't afford to have this traditional mentality that we know everything, because the second we think that, we're going to stop growing. So as a nation, and I feel the more curious we are about the game itself, and put the ego to the side, and realize that there's a lot more to learn than what we know, then I think our development's going to have another boost.
In the previous structures that we had, when a player was good in an academy, almost he was the one that was getting the least coaching, because the clubs did not want to lose that player. Now I think we're creating an environment that is full of good players, so therefore those special players now are going to have to push themselves, and that's going to help them to raise the level and become those world superstars. I have no doubt that in a short period of time, we're going to see very special players. We're starting to see that.
Giovanni Reyna steps to the spot and puts his team ahead in extra time of the Premier Division Championship. The sun is shining in Dallas, Texas for the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup. David Goss and Michael Lahoud with you for this one. The Philadelphia Union leading the Giants of Brazil, Flamengo, 1-0 here at halftime as we're ready to get kicked off with our second half. The Philadelphia Union in their blue kits and gold stripes going right to left on your screens. Flamengo in their all-white kits going left to right as we are ready to kick off the second half of action of the final group stage game here at the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup U17 play. Let's go down to the sideline now with Matt Peterson and Tommy Wilson.
Hey, thanks, David. Tommy Wilson, promoted last year, director of the Academy for the Union and Professional Development. Let's give a big picture overview. Where does the Academy stand for you guys in 2022?
Yeah, I mean, our Academy is with development. And the Academy is a massive part in that. You know, we've invested greatly in it. It's what we believe in, and what I think what we'll always believe in.
Okay, your under 17 side playing behind us in position to win the group. Tell us about this group.
Well, this is one of the toughest groups. You know, we had LAFC, who are fantastic. We always have great battles against them, and the Brazilian champions Flamengo. So for us to be in that sort of a company, and also Western, who came in late but are an excellent team, and I know their staff really well. So it was always going to be a really tough group to come out of. So let's see what happens.
And you're using a lot of 06 players in this group, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way we do it. Our 15s are probably the youngest team here. Our 17s are really young. But, you know, we want to blood them early, because the better they do here, the more likely it is they can excel in the first team.
Last one for you. MLS teams having great success against some of the best teams in the world. What do you attribute it to, that improvement?
I think events like this, you've got to congratulate these events and you know, say well done to MLS for exposing us to this type of competition. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we were well beaten. Now the gap's really small.
Tommy Wilson, thank you.
Pleasure.
That's the head of the Academy for Philadelphia Union, Tommy Wilson.
Thanks so much, Matt. Thank you to Tommy for taking the time. Tommy Wilson now doing it for a number of years for the Philadelphia Union, producing the Mark McKenzies, the Brendan Aaronsons. And now we see Nathaniel Harriel getting the opportunities, Paxton Harrison, Jack McLean. The Philadelphia Union have put themselves at the top of the heap when it comes to youth development in North America. And these young players are looking for their second set-piece goal of the game. It was a 22nd minute header from Zambrano, played in by number 24, Martelli. And Martelli standing over this one alongside Adam Darbo. Martelli puts it in again. Headed away, knocked back into the box and into the safe arms of Santos.
In a conversation with Tommy Wilson, so good to see him again. I remember him from my time in the Philadelphia Union. He said really things changed for this club and for this group when the identity and the focus of the club became, we're going to develop players. And Richie Graham, a part owner of the team, he was so instrumental in funding and backing that and really believing in young players that they deserve a chance, not just in the youth ranks, but on the first team.
And, you know, when you talk to people at some point later on, things seem obvious, but what they built with YSC, the residency, the day in and day out play, the taking control of the players' education so you could help them sort of gear it with soccer. No one else was doing that in the region. Let alone in MLS, and now it's starting to become a norm as people follow what the Philadelphia Union have built.
And I think of some of the players that were coming through.
Opportunity to break here. A beautiful tackle on the ground by Wetzel.
Well done. Wetzel's had a good game so far, stymieing some of these Flamengo attacks. But some of the players that were coming through at the time in that first wave of the YSC Academy and Union Academy, the Brendan Aaronsons, the Mark McKenzie, I actually got a chance to mentor them and coach them during my time with the first team. And I remember when I first came across Brendan Aronson, the talk within the group was there's a kid from Medford, New Jersey. You don't know him now, but he's going to be a star. And I think the rest is becoming history.
The Medford Messi. Or that could be Paxton. Paxton plays a bit more like Messi.
Yeah.
Two great young players. Austin Trusty coming through with that group as well, who's already been sold on to Arsenal. Obviously, Brendan Aronson playing so well in Champions League for Red Bull Salzburg. It's great for someone like me on the outside to hear you talk about, as being a current player, being involved, talking to these young players. And that's the piece that MLS academies have that didn't exist when you and me were coming through, and yeah, you played for great teams, but you didn't have a pro player in your own crest who could talk to you about what your career could look like.
And really, the benefit of that is to teach you and help bring you along, to teach you how to be a professional. The importance of doing the extra training, the importance of watching what you eat. These are things that coming up, when we were coming up, you thought about after the fact. You thought about maybe if you put on a few stones. You thought about once you became a pro or got an opportunity, professional ranks. It doesn't start once you become a pro. It starts when you're these guys' age. You get the right habits in.
These young players being taught at that young age as this one's floated in. Santos comes and takes the cross from Uimani. There got some Michael Lahoud with you alongside with Matt Peterson on the MLS YouTube page and Twitch. Shout out to all of you out there on Twitch alongside us. So that one goes through the hands of Rick. Fortunately, no one there on the other side, and it'll go out for a corner kick to Flamengo.
And Rick has been solid throughout this tournament. Looks like it may have fallen on his hand a bit. Hopefully he's okay, but Flamengo has been dangerous down their left-hand side of the first half, and Rick collides with one of his own center backs, misjudges the flight of the ball.
Now the wind blowing from behind the Flamengo goal into that Philadelphia Union goal. Affect this set piece. Served in at the near post, and Rick takes that one cleanly.
Looks like his hands are okay. Clean catch.
Rick throws that one out. You heard Tommy Wilson talking. The U15s, one of the youngest groups in the U15 competition. Played the youngest player in that competition. They've shown they've got some young bright stars in that group as well. The results haven't been there, as he mentioned, but penalty kick loss after a tie in a game against Porto that Philly just exploded out of the gates but couldn't get the finishing goal. Similar against Atlanta United for them as well. As Hernandez's cross is blocked by Darboe.
One small detail that's so easy to miss. The reason why the Philadelphia Union are up 1-0, look at the defensive work being put in by attacking players. On one end, Darboe blocking a cross and then coming to put enough pressure to force an errant pass. But on the other end, Uimani made a run up front, lost the ball, and then sprinted 50 yards to get back on the other side of his defender. That's the winning mentality that's been part of the DNA for this successful Union Academy.
Philadelphia Union. Keep the flag flying at the U17 stage. We will have complete standings 1 through 40 coming out of this competition. So for a team like a Flamengo, all the groups that maybe aren't going to win their group, you are still trying to play against the best third place teams from other groups, the best fourth place teams, to try and get as high as you can on the overall standings in this game, or in this tournament. Every team will play a minimum of 5 games, so 2 more games coming out of this group stage play. Even for the teams not moving into the knockouts. Philadelphia Union right now are sitting in first place in Group A on 8 points. They believe that they will be one of those teams moving forward. Big switch to the field. Hernandez. Space to get forward once again to Morales. And Mateus' layoff can't find his teammate. Zambrano now. Closed down by Costa. I love right now in the chat, the Philadelphia Union fans are talking about their CCL trip to Club America last year in the semifinals as Darboe's shot is knocked down, and hanging out with Club America fans, getting tacos, tamales. That's one of the great parts about being a fan of this sport, is the international flair and just an opportunity to meet people from all over the world.
And we've seen it with tournaments like the Gold Cup, with a lot of Latin American teams coming and experiencing the pleasures and just the riches of the United States. So why not have that for Americans? MLS club fans going the other way.
The U.S. playing down at the Azteca, as well as in Costa Rica over their last window and qualifying for the World Cup. We've got 3 big substitutes getting ready for the Philadelphia Union. Let's go down to our sideline reporter, Matt Peterson, for a little bit more.
Hey guys, Bashun Darboe, very impressive to me, his leadership skills. We heard him at halftime firing up his teammates, talking about accountability and playing better. And then just a moment ago, we saw him drilled in the face, denying a cross. Most guys stop. I would stop if I got hit in the face. He didn't stop. He kept going to the sideline to close out the play, leading by example. And really, number 9, people think it's kind of a flair player. He's showing he can do it on both ends.
And Darboe, one of the youngest players in this group, too, as an 06. But that talent turning him into a leader, and you love to hear that.
And that's part of his development. It's so easy if you're a talented player to just rely on your skill, but it's the character and the guts and the grit to be in the city of Philadelphia and to be part of the Philadelphia Union. There's one thing I remember very much was the fans, the fan base, and the culture of the club. You better come to fight.
The only city that's booed Santa Claus, so Philadelphia Union, they've got their rep, but the Union, Eastern Conference finalists last year at the MLS level, Supporter Shield winners the year before, the last undefeated team in MLS play right now at the first team level. And so much of that has been built through this academy. These young players want to be the next ones. Philly going to go to the bench. That does not mean that they're going to let up in this game. They've got Nelson Pierre, their star center forward, to come off the bench. They've got CJ Olney, the U17 international, in the attack as well, coming off the bench along with Devin DeCourt. Each team allowed 7 substitutions per game in 3 moments. So this will count as 1 moment for the Union. And this is one of the reasons they are one of the favorites in this competition. To be able to have that type of firepower come off the bench is unique for an MLS academy. Cross comes in and into a wide area.
It's a testament to their depth. And it takes courage to go into a game like this where you need to secure points in order to secure that first place spot in the group. And yet you rotate, you choose to rotate. That's a gutsy move. And yet these players are answering the bell.
And for these coaches, you really trying to figure out how do you push the right buttons as you go across the tournament. Make sure that these players know that when they are important, they will be called on in big moments, that they're still locked in, still around. So Darboe, after his 3rd straight start, he comes off a little bit early. CJ Olney will be the like-for-like change with him. Olney and Darboe had started the first 2 games together on the wings. Zambrano's afternoon is done with the goal right now. It's the game winner in the 22nd minute. His header off that free kick. Nelson Pierre will be the like-for-like change at that center forward position. And the last change is Luciano Sanchez. Sanchez doing more defensive work maybe than he anticipated coming into the game, but did it very well.
And this front 3, they deserve all the applause because of the work rate on both sides of the ball. And it started with Zambrano showing the initiative, going 1v1. Remember that slalom run that he had? He almost created the opening goal on his solo run. And then rightfully so gets rewarded with the goal that gives Philadelphia the lead.
Wetzel up the line. Nelson Pierre, he scored in the opener. His first touch off the bench, and his shot scuffed just wide. CJ Olney saying he got knocked over on the run, but immediately the subs into the attack as expected.
Pierre coming off the bench and showing the Jets immediately. Good 2 touches to send him on his way, and I think the angle was off. Not a favorable angle if you're coming in as a striker. I think he's trying to find the bottom corner at that far post.
So a bright start for the substitute Pierre. For more on the subs, let's go down to Matt Peterson.
Hey, David, you had 3 like-for-like replacements. The one notable, though, interesting-wise, Devon DeCourt, the assistant coach I spoke with, said watch his energy. He has an amazing energy and engine and enthusiasm. So watch number 19 for Philadelphia, bringing energy into this game.
Thanks so much, Matt, and he'll stay down there with us as all these changes start to come along, as Flamengo's preparing their first sub. It looks like they're going to bring back their number 9, Camargo. He had started the first 2 games at that center forward spot. And Michael, they need goals.
They might need to start getting the rosary beads out at some point if they don't get a goal in the next 10 minutes or so.
Well, Junior's the one to come off the winger. We'll see, does this mean a formation change? Maybe two strikers staying central for this Flamengo side.
I'd look for it to shift to a 3-5-2. Two strikers.
Right already. They just shifted into it.
Yeah. Well, two strikers, if you're going to chase the game, you need two strikers to go against this three center back pairing. One striker really wasn't going to get enough service against those three.
Pierre now pushes it wide. Uwimana back into the path of Pierre. Nelson Pierre, whether it's starting or off the bench, he's full of goals, and the Philadelphia Union double their lead midway through this second half.
This kid is a special talent. Only been on the field for a few minutes and already making his presence felt. He starts this play and the solo run, good entry pass in, and he tried to pick out that bottom corner moments before, and he gets it right this time. The ball dribbling over the goalkeeper's hands, but look at his run. Straight ball, diagonal run, and first time finish. Striker's instinct. He wears the number 10 shirt, but looking every bit of a number 9.
And the celebration, the expectation from him that he's going to score. You could see it in his body language. He was sitting in front of us, sort of just eager to come on throughout this game. Rotation in this third game to keep legs fresh. And what a performance off the bench. He's been in for 2 minutes. He's had 2 shots and a goal already. Philadelphia Union in the driver's seat. And we mentioned coming off in this game, Sanchez, the work he's had to do defensively. Talk about Noe Uwimana, who thought he'd be playing out on the wing, gets pulled back as that wing back to help defensively, stays in the game, battles, and then gets the assist.
He might be finding himself in a new position if they ever go to a back five, because he looks like a natural fit at that right wing back position. And you see that in the modern game, seeing attacking players shift to a right wing back, because you know they can get forward. But he's also had an honest display, being solid in transition, covering the back four, shifting it to a back five.
It's one of the things I love about the new ecosystem in the MLS Next and MLS Academy setup is the amount of players we see at 22, 23 years old coming out of college being converted to new positions at the pro level. Now you've got pro first teams looking at players and saying, hey, we know you're the best winger on the field on this game, but at the next level, we think you could be a fullback or a center back. And you look at a guy like George Bello, who played as a 10, and then Atlanta watched what Trent Alexander-Arnold did for Liverpool, pulled him to left back. Then he gets sold to for multi-million dollars in the Bundesliga. So you've got these players who can learn those positions from a young age. And as you mentioned, a lot of attackers are being asked to do things like that at the highest level.
And it takes a sporting director and a manager who are willing to throw them into the line of fire and throw them in the deep end. And the Philadelphia Union have that in the manager of Jim Curtin.
This ball played down the line, clipped in. Does it look like take a touch off of Martelli? Martelli goes down in the corner, takes the hit, earns the foul. And Luke Martelli, the assist on the first goal, doing the work defensively on the back end.
Martelli's going to feel every bit of this. He doesn't give up on it. What looks like a 50-50 is really a forearm shiver. Gets up slowly. But that's epitomized this team. Whether attacking players, defensive players, everyone putting in the work, everyone winning their individual duels.
That ball bounces. Philadelphia continuing to battle in those duels. And a free kick in favor of Philadelphia. Hernandez might be lucky if he gets away from this one without a yellow card. As we said, Philly continuing to challenge in those duels.
Well, the front three, they didn't just come in to just make up numbers. All three players being aggressive, running, and Decor comes from the right-hand side to draw this foul all the way on the left.
Martelli just quickly goes to the feet of Oliver as Philadelphia going to knock it around for a moment here. Rick put under pressure.
Oh, beautiful ball out.
From Rick to Uwimana. Uwimana now coming off that assist. Gets to the end line, puts the cross in. It'll blocked out for a corner kick. And I love this on Twitch where, you know, we've got match evaluators here, some of the great players, scouts who have such a high knowledge. But for all of us, me being in that group and the guy and everyone on Twitch, C. Sabala just said, the moment Nelson Pierre came on, he says, sheesh, you could tell him immediately he was good. Right? That's how good he was. That to an untrained eye like me, you could tell. Well, ball knocked around. Short for the corner. Now played in. Pierre gets another header. And it's stopped by Santos.
Right on cue, we're talking about Pierre. Striker's instinct. Everyone else ball watching and inches offside for the header.
David Goss, Michael Lahoud, Matt Peterson here at the Generation Adidas Cup. We've got a question from someone named Ben Bayer MLS on Twitch who says, is this the best Union team in GA Cup history? A great question. The Union have had some great teams. We've talked about it. The YSC Academy putting together some great groups. We saw Seth Kuhn and his group already playing at this competition a few years ago, making it to the final in the lower division at the time. Now no longer split into two divisions here at the GA Cup. I think this is the best group I've ever seen for Philly. If you can bring a Pierre off the bench, if you can bring Zielinski hasn't even come in yet. He's a US U17 international. CJ only as well. I think this is the best group I've ever seen for the Philadelphia Union.
And really, the road is paved and the path has been paved by those who came before, the Brennan Aaronsons, the Mark McKenzies, and the Austin Trustees. And these guys, there's a tradition that they're following, and now it's their responsibility to take it to the next level. Yes, did they reach the final? Absolutely. But now can you go and do one better and win this tournament?
For the Philadelphia Union, it's about first team results. It's about the potential to sell players and continue to fund your club. But winning things matters, right? For young players you're trying to recruit, it matters. This is a young man in CJ Only, who they just got in the team this year from PDA, and he puts that cross in. And you can tell if you're a Philadelphia and you do well, young players see that and they want to join you. The next CJ Only could be around the corner.
It's down to what's happening in the first team. If academy players are getting opportunities with the first team, then no matter where you're from, if you're from anywhere around the country, you want to go to clubs that are giving young players first team opportunities.
Philly looking to counter back. Someone in there in the chat asking about the Seattle Sounders score. We were going to get some of the scores from around the fields.
Just because of the presence of Pierre, look at how many defenders the Flamengo has kept back. They have to have 5 players back to deal with his speed.
What a better player could there be to help you close out a game? So we're going to get you some of the scores from around the fields around us. This is the final day of group play. We know most likely as things fall that the Philadelphia Union will be the first place team in their group. They will sit behind at least 2 other teams, Manchester United, who have already won all their games, as well as Monterrey.
On that service, Rick doing so well to collect and not give up a rebound. Flamengo had 3 center attacking players ready to pounce if he did.
Nelson attacking. We get the update here. Seattle leading 2-0 against Santos Laguna in their group. 1-0 lead right now for LAFC over Weston in this group. So that means LAFC would move into sole possession of second place on 6 points if that game finishes that way, which could be enough to get them through to the next round. Seattle, that win over Santos Laguna would take them to 7 points. And still be waiting to see the results of the Charlotte FC Austin FC game to see if they're able to go through. Incredible that one of those teams won't be going through to the next round. 3 subs coming on for for Flamengo here. We've got Gonzalo, who started the first game, the number 6 coming on, Silva as well, number 15, both of them along that left side, and Vitor Castro, the center midfielder, coming in as well. Last gasp here for Flamengo. We've got one more game coming up for you today. It is a big one. Inter Miami hosting Roma. Roma, second place right now on 4 points. Miami, first place on 6 points in that group. Miami looking to close things down, stay in first place, get to the knockout rounds, in Roma struggling to score, but elite right now defensively. They'll look to try and tamp down this Inter Miami attack, led by who else? Javier Morales. One of the great attackers in MLS history.
What can I say? He's in its blood.
His son played for the U15s last night, and he chipped his penalty kick in the penalty kick shootout. As that shot gets deflected, didn't even run up to it. Sort of walked up to it, and then just chipped it to one side. It was arguably one of the most Javi Morales things I've ever seen in my life.
Audacious is the word. Audacious, very much the adjective to describe some of the things Javi Morales would do on the field.
You want to guess what number his son wears? Yeah, you got it right. Number 10. So that's going to be a fun one as it's headed away by Pierre at the near post. Only flicks it on. You can go to MLSsoccer.com after that last round of games is over at the U17 level to see what the schedules will be coming up as we figure out who has qualified, who hasn't. And we'll run through all of that with you in this next game as we get the last few of those results in, and we'll keep you updated as we move into the round of 16. 8 games tomorrow, knockout games here at the U17 level, and then we'll be back with the U15s coming up in 2 days with their quarterfinals. Philadelphia Union preparing 2 more subs, Luke Zielinski and Devin Stopek getting ready to come on. Zielinski, who's mentioned a couple times, a U17 international, coming off the bench here in this game as well, along with CJ Olney, a U17 international. Nelson Pierre, the leading goal scorer on the team.
I think that's to give this Flamengo team, who's pushing everyone forward, 6 players in attack. It's to give them something to think about on the counter.
Chance to attack here. The substitutes bringing energy. And a great job from Rick to read that one. It was Morales who finally snuck through.
And that's epitomized this Flamengo's team's campaign. So close, individual moments, but it's the final action that they've lacked time and time again throughout this competition. It's good work from Alex Perez. He and Logan Oliver have been outstanding in the middle of the park, being the engine room and being combative. Does well to read that entry pass and pick it off.
So to be clear for some people in the chat, we don't know the exact standings yet. There's pretty much no chance that Philadelphia Union will play Manchester United in the next round. Those teams will both at least be top 8 seeds and not have to face off against each other. There will be some group winners who play other group winners because there are 10 of them. And that's why every goal matters. And that's why every moment has mattered. And in a tournament, we're only playing 60-minute games. But we've seen that pressure. And that's part of why this has been built, to give these young players a chance to operate under pressure that it's hard to find at the U17 level. But when you step in front of 20,000 fans, a Talent Energy Stadium, you'll feel that.
And really the know-how in game management comes into play coming into games like this where tiebreakers. For young players, you have to do more than just think about how many dribbles I'm going to get, how many goals I'm going to get. Now, how do you manage the game? How do you manage the moment that your team needs to progress to the next round and progress to a possible championship?
Flamengo trying to pry an opening, yet to score in the group stage. Unbelievable to say, they have been one of the perennial favorites. They've been to the semifinal at least every time they've been here at the U17 level. Beautiful work defensively there from Perez. He gets taken down at the end of that one.
Perez doing well to strip the Flamengo midfielder of possession. But then afterwards, I think he goes down a little bit too easy, looking for the foul.
Knocked around, cleared away. And one of the wild things about the Philadelphia Union, we talk about their success, the young players they've developed, is that arguably becoming the greatest American player of all time is a Hershey, Pennsylvania native, and Christian Pulisic, and the academy wasn't there yet to get him to come into that group. He headed over to Dortmund instead. I was told he did visit with the Philadelphia Union as a young kid. Dortmund worked out, so I think everyone's okay.
I'd say it's worked out for him well. Well, another player too, Zach Steffen.
Yeah,
from that area.
Came out of, was in the academy, technically was here at Generation Adidas Cup as a guest player. Back in the day, but you are right, that is another great, it's a great soccer area. What's cool as well now is, you know, we have talked about at times stars coming back to MLS towards the end of their career, coming to MLS, a Zlatan, a Kaká. What happens when a Pulisic, a Tyler Adams starts to get towards their end of their career? Could that be that next generation of big name DPs that you have as well? Minimum of 3 minutes of stoppage time coming up.
We've seen that from a previous generation. Clint Dempsey,
coming
back. Michael Bradley, Josie,
absolutely,
and their teams became instant successes. These are players that have the MLS pedigree, have the U.S. national team pedigree, know what it takes to compete at home and in Europe, and their teams went from cellar dwellers to championship competing teams overnight.
Ooh, you're calling Seattle Sounders cellar dwellers one day?
Maybe not Seattle.
Listen, when Josie Altidore came to follow up Jermaine Defoe, it was a bloody big deal. We've got one more game coming up for you here from Field 4. It's Inter Miami against AS Roma. That game will kick off in exactly 22 minutes from now. So it's still slated for the same 4 p.m., 4:05 Eastern time kickoff. It's Flamengo knocking it around in this minimum of 3 minutes of stoppage time. Mateus trying to find the opening for the Philadelphia Union. It was Marcos Zambrano, the starting center forward, a 22nd minute goal off the free kick from Luke Martelli to open up the scoring. And then Nelson Pierre, his second touch off the bench on the assist from Noe Uwimana. The Philadelphia Union a 2-0 lead over Flamengo. Looks like they will close things out as the winner of Group A. That is a huge moment for them. It sounds like LAFC will move to second in Group A on 6 points. That could be enough to get them through to the next round. A loaded, confident LAFC U17 group, hoping and now watching across the other groups to see those 5 points are enough to get them through to the next round. St. Louis City SC leading in Group B, leading once again right now. St. Louis has been a bright spot here in their inaugural Generation Adidas Cup appearance, as has Charlotte FC. Going into match day 3 as first place as that shot flashes over the crossbar. We now have played those minimum of 3 minutes of stoppage time, and the Philadelphia Union stand alone at the top of Group A. They did it in Game 1 against Weston. They took care of business in Game 2 against LAFC, and here against the Giants of Brazil, Flamengo. They win 2-0 and put their name up there as one of the favorites to win the 2022 edition of the U17 Generation Adidas Cup. We've got more games coming up for you here from Field 4 in just 20 minutes we kick off with Inter Miami against AS Roma. For myself, David Goss, my partner, Michael Lahoud, and Matt Peterson, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in a little bit.